and I'm back with The Little Mermaid, and I'm gonna be honest, I haven't actually seen the movie, so for this video, I'm gonna go do that. Time to hoist the sails, this pirate's going to steal a movie. Wow, what a shit show. Just like Beauty and the Beast, they didn't really do anything different, and what they did add didn't really amount to anything in the end. Also, the extra hour did nothing as well. I will say I did like that Eric and Ariel had more time to bond. Now, around the time this movie was being made, I was again iffy on the cast. Like, I do like Halle Berry, she sings really well, but I'm not a fan of remaking songs or like when other artists add their own spin, since I'm extremely sensitive to sound, so listening to Halle sing Part of Your World was hard. Plus, for me, it wasn't like dramatic enough, but acting wise, she did okay. As for Ursula, yeah, I hated every minute of it. I love Melissa, but she was not a good pick. I'm sorry. Personally, I think a drag queen should have been picked. Like, Melissa is just too nice sounding. I don't know, she's just not a believable villain for me. Plus, her being Ariel's aunt does like nothing. I know that was once a part of the original script, but I think it works better that they're not family. The mystery of Ursula is what makes her fun, you know? And Awkwafina as Scuttle. Yeah, I don't get this change or this pick. The song was awful. No hate to Awkwafina, she's hilarious and I like her in a lot of other things, but they really need to stop putting her in Disney films. It's getting old and frustrating. I think my biggest hangups though were the sets. Oh my god, the set. The trailers were just the small taste of how depressing the mermaid world was really gonna be. Like, the underwater scenes were bland and boring, which is like so funny since Avatar: Way of Water released 1 year before The Little Mermaid, and the underwater world was 1000% better. Like, look how pretty and full of life it looks. Now, look at the live action Little Mermaid's underwater world. Depression. The castle alone is heartbreaking. Like, they're mermaids. Add some more magic to their world, please. Also, the CGI. Now, I'm not a hater when it comes to CGI, but Flounder looks horrifying. I get it's live action, so they made him look realistic, but mermaids exist, so it'd probably be okay to make him less real. Now, as for Ariel's mermaid look and her dress, I mean, it's fine. They're not mind-bendingly disappointing like Belle's and Snow White's dresses are, but they're not that jaw-dropping either. Like, don't get me wrong, the mermaid tail is very pretty. I like the iridescent colors and the ruffles on the back, but the actual fin, it's fine. The shape is a little wonky, but it's the light pink frills. They just don't do anything for the tail. Plus, it's the only part of her tail that is that color, and to be honest, it just looks like a trash bag is stuck to her. Also, her hip fins should have been bigger because they're kind of hard to see now. As for her top, I'm not a big fan. I get that a shell bra isn't the best IRL, but this weird armor skin thing could have been better. Like, I get they tried to make it more part of her anatomy, but yeah, no. Now, as for her town dress and pink dress, they're pretty much the same dress, just different colors in the movie, which, lame, by the way, just screams cheap. But yeah, the blue dress is crazy boring. Not to mention the fact that just like Belle, she's borrowing clothes from a royal. So why is her walking dress literally just a petticoat, corset, and blouse? Like, she's basically running around in her underwear. The designer even references that the time period is set in the 1830s, and let me tell you, this would not have existed. Sleeves, no. The long neck ruffle, yes, but not the stretchy fabric. Corset, nope. It's not even the right shape. Skirt, again, yes, but as a petticoat. The length, however, is actually accurate. The skirts were just above the ankle level. Scandalous, I know. Color, yes, this blue would have been an accurate color to wear. Now, I'm not going to talk about the hair, as Ariel is a mermaid, so her dreads are fine in the context of the movie. Anyway, yeah, a lot of the costumes are inaccurate, and again, I'm gonna repeat myself, it does not have to be 100% accurate. However, if you're gonna say out loud that the time period set within the movie is the 1830s, you're gonna have to kind of reference the time period. You can't just make shit up willy-nilly. because then you end up with these weird mishmash costumes. And it's pretty clear these are like modern built dresses. Like the way they're designed is more modern than what the actual time period would have allowed for these dresses to look like. Anyway, moving on to the redesign, because I'm way more excited to talk about that. So I did a little digging because I was curious about the design process for Ariel. Like obviously some things needed to be different, and I'm kind of disappointed we didn't get this version. Her top looked way more a part of her body along with matching her tail more, and the glitter on her arms were so pretty and magical. Like imagine if they added it to her face. Oh my god. Now I know mermaids are usually depicted as being humans with fishtails, but I've never been a fan of it, as I knew even as a kid it wasn't realistic, cause like how do they breathe underwater without gills? How can they camouflage to avoid predators when they're flesh colored? How the hell can they see underwater with normal human eyes? Also hair? Really? Fish don't have hair. Like, I can somewhat buy them looking human when they come out of the water and start singing, and yeah, I know sirens and mermaids are two different types, but let's be honest, one has magic while the other doesn't, so yeah. But anyway, I decided to go full fish person. I gave her bigger eyes to see better, even colored her eyes similar to fishes, though to keep with the magic, I did make the sclera of her eyes more colorful, almost like the night sky, which works for her character, as Ariel snuck out a lot at night. I also gave her fin-like ears. Fish don't really have ears like we do, but it's cuter for her to have them. Plus it adds more expression since she no longer has eyebrows, but thick scales in place of them. As for her overall body, I kept the traditional mermaid shape along with the live actions, but added a few things. I gave her fins to her elbows and webbed her fingers, along with adding side fins to her hips, and made the ruffle fin bigger and made her tail fin bigger as well. I noticed the style of the live actions tail was very similar to the shape of a betta fish, and I really liked the idea. And I know betta fish are mainly freshwater, but there is a cousin of the betta fish that does live in saltwater, so I like to think Ariel's mom was a comet type mermaid and Trident a blue-green bromus, giving Ariel this more freshwater beta look, though she's not as flashy, as that's more typical for the males. Her tail and fins are kept short to help identify her as female, along with her smaller beard. Yes, that's what it's called. Anyway, her skin is now more speckled. I based her patterns more around spotted marble, placket tail betta fish, and the koi betta fish, mostly cause the pattern is similar to the comet betta fish, and cause it's a nice way to show how two parents' scales would react to each other. Plus, with her looking this way leads me into my next point. I never bought mermaids as like the top of the food chain. I mean, they're very shiny and have zero protection. Like, they would be constantly taken out by predators, which is why I made her whole body covered and colored her more closely to the ocean floor so she can blend in. Though this is a fantasy movie, so I did add purple scales for the added effect. Plus, they managed to build a castle underwater, so the mermaids know how to do some things. So I like to think she blends in with the castle, like it's their own magical coral reef. So a lot of the mermaids blend in with, you know, the little world that they live in. As for her hair, I decided to make her hair look like red kelp, though it's actually layered fins to look like kelp to help her camouflage better. I also added pearls to give that princess look. I know she's not super princessy in the animated version either, but I mean, if you're gonna live action something, you're allowed to add extra details, so why not, right? As for her outfit, now since I made her skin pattern more like a top, I figured I could do something different. Plus, I mean, they're mermaids, and if their anatomy is more fish-based, then well, they don't really have the necessary equipment we do. So her top is more ceremonial than for covering. Think like Avatar fashion. The blue people, not the animated series. So her top is made from nets from ship debris, braided with pearls and small shells, and since the movie made a good point about this seashell bra, I decided to just remake them into a necklace. And later, you'll see I added an A to it, so when Eric is trying to guess her name, she can point at it to give him a hint. And I added starfish instead as the placeholders for her top. As for color, again, I used the parents for the patterns and some of the colors, but I still wanted Ariel to have the same vibe as the animated version, but I also wanted her to feel more like she was a part of the ocean. So I kept her original green, but added dark blue for the ombre effect, and neon blue green for her father, and a lighter green for the top layer of her skin. Yes, her style is betta fish style, and betta fish are more adapt to hiding than actually being free swimmers. But in the ocean, it's more likely for a seawater fish to have color on top and a lighter underbelly. Because if a predator is looking up, they're going to see light, and if you have a lighter underbelly, it's going to make it look like you're blending in with the light, which will help the fish out. So that's also why I gave her little hints of a lighter skin pattern. Plus, if I was in control of this movie, this would be like a really good like character moment between Ariel and her father, where her father keeps trying to keep her in the castle because she's safest there, whereas if she goes out into the ocean, she's basically a bright neon sign saying, "Come eat me." You know, like in fish language, she's basically saying, "I'm delicious, come get me." So I would like to think that, like, instead of Ariel's dad being like, "Stay away from the humans," there's also the added, "Please don't leave the castle, you will get eaten." You know, but I just wanted to make Ariel feel a part of her world, aka something completely otherworldly, but still kind of blends in with the environment. Plus, like, how funny would it have been if Eric woke up to her and saw only glimpses and was like, "She kind of scary, but that voice in those eyes, wow." Anyway, I'm stupid proud of the design. Also, I did add gills. Had to make sure everything was right before I added them. Anyway, on to the human design. Yay! Now, for her human design, I didn't change too much as I wanted her to still feel different, like a true fish out of water, so her scales have now turned to flesh, but her pattern still remains, giving her vitiligo-like skin. Her eyes, though now human, are still the magical blues and purples, and yes, her eyelashes are now actually eyelashes, instead of fins. Now for her hair, I decided to keep the dreadlocks, but did style them more closely to the style of the time period. Obviously, it's not as elaborate, but it's close in shape. Plus, I mean, they really could have done something with her hair instead of just giving her a headband scarf. I mean, Ariel's bow is iconic and actually pretty close to the time period since ribbons, bows, and flowers were a huge thing to decorate your hair with. So I gave her her bow back, but shaped it to look more like a sea flower. Her pearls are still in her hair, again for that otherworldly look, but also because now that she's on land, it makes her stick out a bit more, giving Eric more reason to be enchanted by her. Also, off topic to the design, I would have loved if Ariel had more, let's say, fish-like tendencies. Like, I know she can't talk, but she can still make some sort of noise, so what's stopping her from making like dolphin chirps or clicking when she's thinking or super excited? You know, stuff that could hint to what she really is, you know, and play with the idea a bit more. That's all I'm asking. Plus, in the movie, both live action and OG, it always bugged me how fast she learned to walk. I wish there had been a scene, like similar to Luca, where Eric or Sebastian is teaching her to walk. Also, I know in the original fairy tale, the mermaid feels like she's walking on glass, but obviously they're not doing that because we're doing the Disney version. But for the live action and animated versions, I kind of wish when the deadline was getting closer, more of her scales started to appear, making her more desperate for Eric to kiss her, because I like to think that she'd be worried if Eric saw her true form and thought he wouldn't like her anymore because she's a full mer person. And like in both movies, Triton makes a big deal about humans like going after mermaids and being, you know, cruel to mermaids. So like I'd like there to be that little like back of the mind situation with Ariel where she like knows that Eric is kind and sweet, but he's still a human and he does not know that Ariel is a mermaid. So like if Eric actually saw what she is, how would he actually respond, you know? Anyway, the outfit. So as much as I would love to make designs for every dress Ariel wears, which I should point out is weirdly accurate for the time period to be constantly changing outfits, but I mostly wanted to focus on the dress the live action gave us, and I want to be clear, it's nice, but it's also very simple and plain, which for the 1830s was just not the total vibe. Again, the 18th century was a wild west of fashion because it constantly changed. So within this little bracket of 1830s, it was not exactly the vibe. Because just like the Rococo era, extravagance was a huge thing for the time period. And while the shape of the dresses changed, the overabundance of fabric and style didn't, as adornment and embellishments equaled wealth. Now, since the movie was dead set in keeping her in the blue dress most of the movie, I decided to put Ariel in a mix of a ball dress and a walking dress, since she is borrowing a dress that I'm gonna assume came from Eric's mother's wardrobe in this scenario. Since again, a lot of these dresses are custom made, so her dress is more extravagant than your usual. Anyway, I gave her the typical leg of mutton puff sleeves for the time period. I just took the sleeve part off, and cause her pink dress had big ass puff sleeves, so win-win, with double layered lace and satin bows on her shoulders and lace at the end of the puffs. Paired with upper arm gloves, this style wasn't super common as the sleeves fabric was more like this, so completely attached, but I wanted her to be extra fancy because she is still a princess, even though Eric doesn't know that. Now this is where the design is more me than actually historical, since I'm mixing two dresses. Now, a ball dress usually had the neckline shaped more like a V. Oh my god. And is more sloped on the shoulders with a folded fabric bodice, which I kind of did do, but I made the lace trim of her bodice more of a W shape, since I structured the bodice to be more of a walking dress, which is way more covered, so the shoulders are more covered and the fabric more overlapping, and a higher neckline. But I decided to just keep the overlapping part and gave her like a V-shaped overlap bodice top with a boned satin under fabric, not a corset. It's basically this. I couldn't find the name of it, sorry. Now, at this time in the 1830s, the waistline started to slide down, getting closer to the natural waistline, and instead of a pointed bodice, the tops were cut straight and a belt was wrapped around the waist. So that's why she now has one. Also, the skirts in the 1830s were starting to get wider again, and you're probably confused, but the Regency era fashion was before this and after the Rococo era. So big skirts were making a comeback. The length, however, was a bit new, being ankle length, which I gave her for the overall style. And again, the more you put on your skirt, the more wealthy you are, so I put bows on her skirt and did like a split U shape at the end and added double layers of lace, one short and one long, with her underdress peeking out. As for shoes, I put her in satin shoes with leather soles with crisscross ribbons. These shoes back then were so lightweight it felt like wearing nothing, which I think fits for Ariel. I also put her in socks, as was the style. Just because ankle is showing doesn't mean the skin will be showing. Now, as for color, so the darker blues and purple probably wouldn't have existed because lace wasn't dyed a whole lot, plus darker purple was more popular. The darker blue, however, kinda existed, but like became more popular later, as a lot of Ariel's design is based on the early years of the 1830s, like before Victoria was crowned. But the green would have existed and was very popular, but the main reason I picked the colors was to hint at her mermaid form. Plus, the location of the movie is in the Caribbean and much closer to the water, so it felt appropriate to keep her colors more sea-themed. Plus, I mean, it's closer to her newer animation promotion dress, which I always liked better. Honestly, my main goal was just to fuse the pink dress and the blue dress together, while also keeping it within the time period the fashion designer stated, because look how nice this is. Even if this was the only outfit I'd seen through most of the movie, I'd be pretty content till the end of the movie where we don't get the iconic glitter dress, but I'd still be okay, as it's still pretty enough to feel magical than this sad Alice in Wonderland knockoff. At the end of all this, I kind of blame the designer chosen. They seem to stick to very simple and mute colors, which I guess works well since that's what the director wanted, but this is a Disney movie about a magical mermaid. Realism isn't something that should be applied here. Also, with all the money they wasted on doing Hallie's hair, could have gone to more costumes. Or, better ones. At least Triton looks good. The seashell armor, very cool. Anyway, I am very tired, but very proud on how this turned out. There's a few things I'd like to fix for myself, but at the end of it, I'm happy. The movie, however, Even with Hallie carrying most of it, it still fell flat on its face and missed the mark in so many ways. Honestly, hands down, I'm done with reboots and remakes. They do nothing for the original and just piss people off. Like, I'm so ready for something new and original and exciting, and I can't be the only one. Anyway, next video will probably be Bloom from the Winx Club. With everything that happened this week, I didn't have much time to draw Auroras, so bear with me till then. Anyway, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and me. I hope you all have a super fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!